because communication is a critical pillar of human existence. I mean, how would I be doing this and how will I be getting feedback from you if we don't communicate? Right now, I'm joined by Dr. Connie Nchemirirwe, who is the Program Quality Director of Toastmasters District 114, which encompasses quite a number of countries, but she tells me her day job is the Director of Africa Science Leadership Program, based in Pretoria. But communication seems to be the blood flow. You know, what moves your heart? Talk to me, in the business world, why is communication important?
Today's business leader, today's employee needs to be able to communicate what their service is, needs to be able to communicate what their vision is, and given the short attention span that many of us have, you have to get straight to the point and have an impactful message. And very many people are not able to communicate in that way.
So, and from that answer, actually, I'm already learning. Straight to the point, it's more impactful. Now, in the business world, we talk about pitching, because you have to sell your idea. And oftentimes there's something called elevator pitch. I think less than a minute.
Yes.
You have to organize your thoughts. How does somebody do that effectively?
What we do in Toastmasters is that at every meeting, individuals have the opportunity to practice their impromptu speaking skills. So if you are in the presence of someone that's quite important to you and can move your business ahead, you should be ready to pitch this person in less than a minute. So that means that beforehand, you have to be very clear what it is you can do for this person. And usually people make the mistake that when they approach such a person, they try to get them to do something for them. But that's the wrong way around. So in Toastmasters, you learn how to speak just on the cuff, on the spur of the moment, off the cuff, and get your message across.
All right. And how you learn this, of course, not okay, you have quite a sizable number, to be honest. But in terms of honing this skill, because I believe it's a very important skill, how do you start?
Like any skill, you have to just do it. We get a lot of members who come and say, oh, I cannot write the speech. But the first thing that you do when you're a member of Toastmasters is write the speech. It will not be very good the first time, but fortunately, you have the opportunity to do it again and again and again. I have been a Toastmaster for 10 years, and I'm still learning how to communicate better. Today is my first live TV interview, for instance. And I don't know how I'm doing, but I just do it.
You're doing
and
okay.
I learn how to do it. And that's the same thing that we do in Toastmasters. You just learn by doing it.
Okay.
You cannot learn by watching other people do it, by watching YouTube videos. You just have to learn by doing it.
By doing it. And, you know, your day job, as you call it, is quite a serious job because you're traversing Africa, working virtually, meeting once in a while as the Director of Africa Science Leadership Program. Can you say your communication skills have been a critical pillar in your ascent in this workspace?
100%. Communication and leadership, by the way, are twins. You cannot lead if you cannot communicate. You have to be able to persuade, to influence, to charm, to communicate. If you have a strong vision and you cannot communicate it, you're not going to be able to get somebody to follow you. And so the way that I got this job actually is that first I was a trainee in the program, and because I was able to articulate what I was learning and articulate what the value was to me, they invited me to join as a member of the staff, and over 4 or 5 years, I'm now the director of the program. And my communication skills enable me to also communicate what the program is about, to gather people to follow us, to get funding. Again, it's a matter of being able to communicate what it is you can do for people.
Definitely. And you deal with scientists, because I see here Science Leadership Program. And scientists, you know, there's this notion we hold about people who are very scientifically inclined, that they may not be very good communicators or use plenty of jargons. Is it a world that is, we are seeing those walls coming down?
Absolutely. And I too my background is in science. I'm a trained civil engineer, but then I went on to become an educator. And so I do understand the obstacles that scientists have in overcoming this jargon, being unable to speak clearly. They think every bit of information is critical in a message that they have to deliver. And part of what we do in this Africa Science Leadership Program is to, one, make them realize that because they are established scientists, they have a role in society to communicate science. But they have to communicate science in a way that's understandable to the public. So we also teach them how to communicate in brief, communicate simply, and therefore have influence in society.
And different age groups, different generations have different ways of communicating.
Very true.
How do we merge that and see a seamless flow of communication between Gen Zs and maybe, baby boomers and whatnot?
That's another issue that we struggle with, especially if you are older and you're used to communicating correctly and precisely. But there's always a place to communicate simply and effectively. If you use a lot of slang, you may reach the people that understand the slang, but you may not be able to reach the wider audience. So you have to have a balance. But in Toastmasters, we have programs for every age group. We have programs for people that are still in school, youth development programs. We also have programs for young career professionals. And we have members that are as old as 70 and 80, because Toastmasters is not only about communication and leadership, it's also about networking and hanging out with people who are of a similar mind to you.
Definitely. As we close up in less than a minute,
Yes.
It's 2023,
Yes.
Very young. What is the goal? I know from a Toastmasters perspective and also from a leader of an organization perspective, what are you hoping to see in the communication world in the year 2023?
So there's a lot of developments, especially in tech, that we can take advantage of. Someone earlier today was saying, why do I have to struggle to write a speech if I can use ChatGPT, for instance? And we have to understand that there are ways in which we have to position ourselves to gain an advantage in the market. And so in 2023, I would advise people to be aware that knowledge is important, but if you cannot communicate it, it's useless to you. And building networks through this communication is also important. So I advise you to look for the nearest Toastmaster club and begin your journey of developing your public speaking and leadership.
Oh, thank you very much. You
Thank
said
you,
this was your first TV interview.
Yeah.
So let me calculate the points. It's out of 100, yeah?
Yes.
I think you've done really well.
Oh, wonderful.
98 out of 100. The
Excellent.
2, I think we'll look at the end of the year. But thank you very much, Dr.
Thanks,
Connie
Noah.
Nshemiriwe,
Thank you.
who is the Program Quality Director of Toastmasters District 114. And she's also the Director of Africa Science Leadership Program, saying you need to learn to communicate. Communication is critical. And I know it's Friday, maybe communication is not top of your priority. I'm telling you, it should be top of your priority. It's not a Monday affair. Thank you very much for joining with us through business today. What a week we've had. It's been a pleasure. My name is Nokip Kimboy. Enjoy your weekend. Up next we have Mbio KTN. Stay tuned.